Okay. So the first question in the self-assessment was, how are rational numbers and irrational numbers different? Well, remember, irrational numbers are non-repeating, non-terminating decimals. And in that classification, the non-perfect square roots fall into that, because non-perfect square roots are non-repeating, non-terminating decimals. So that means rational numbers are everything else. Repeating decimals, terminating decimals, whole numbers, natural, all that stuff. Okay. So that could have been a good vocabulary definition there. All right. The first 16. So if you looked at that fraction, it actually reduces to 3. So what classification is 3? Yeah, all of them. Not just rational, but it's also whole numbers, natural numbers, and it's also an integer. Okay. What about the negative square root of 76? Is that a perfect root? Nope, it's not a perfect root, so that means it's irrational, right? And the cubic root of negative 216, what is that? Is that a perfect cube? Yeah, what is it? Negative 6. So what's negative 6? It is rational. What else? It's not a whole number. What set of numbers include negative numbers? Integers. Remember, whole numbers are positive numbers and include 0. It doesn't include negative numbers. All right. 19. So the square root of 51 falls between the square root of 49, which is 7, and the square root of 64, which is 8. So what is 51 closer to? 49 or 64? 49, right. So A, it's going to be about 7 because it's the closest integer. And then B, okay, if you start to use your calculator and figure it out, the closest one it's going to be to is about 7.1. How many people got that one? All right, good. Now, in 20, right, 87, square root of 87. Forget the negative right now, but that's between the negative square root of 81, which is 9, and the negative square root of 100, which is negative 10, right? So is 87 closer to 81 or 10? Yeah, it's only 6 away from 81, right? It's 13 away from 100. So this is going to be about negative 9. Okay, for the first one. And then if you started out, well, if you try to do, it's a little less than the middle. So if you went to 9.4 squared, you were a little above 87. If you go to 9.3 squared, you're underneath 87, and 87 is actually closer to the 9.3 squared. So negative 9.3 would have been the best answer to the nearest 10th because it's closer to that one. How many people got that one? All right, good. More hands on that one. And then the last one, the cubic root of 60. Cubic root. Okay, so what does that fall between? Well, 4 is what? 4 cubed is what? 4 cubed is what? 64. So it falls between the cubic root of 64, which is 4. So to what is 3? What's the cubic root of 3 cubed? Yeah, 27. So is 60 closer to 64 or 27? Yeah, so the A here is going to be about 4 because it's much closer. So when you try to figure out the decimal, well, it's a long ways away from 3, right? So it's got to be somewhere in here closer to 4. So if you try to few out 3.7, 3.8, you're still under 60, 3.9. You get over that 60, and it's closest to the 3.9 number. How many people got that one? 21. Yeah, so you went from squares to the cube root. So don't mistaken that for the square root of 60. It's the cubic root. And then the last one, which numbers do not belong? Well, if you figured out this is a decimal, this was 0.916, and the 6 was repeating, right? 25.075 is a terminating decimal. All right, so those don't add up. If you do the square root of 8, it's like 2.82. It's a non-repeating, non-terminating decimal. And this is a repeating decimal. So it really has nothing to do with the decimals. What it is this guy doesn't belong because, yeah, the cubic root of the square root of 8 is irrational. And these three numbers are all rational numbers. Repeating decimal, terminating decimal, repeating decimal. So those three are rational. The irrational one is the one that made it different. So it really had nothing to do with the decimal. It had the type of number that it was involved in, and that was that one. How many people got that one? Nobody got that one? Good. One person. All right. Today, so that pink sheet of paper for the self-assessment, on the back, this is 9.5. Okay, 9.5. We're almost done. Okay. Today, we're going to finish up the last example in 9.5, which deals with the real-life story problem. So it says the equation d squared equals 1.37h represents the relationship between the distance, d, in nautical miles. This is a submarine question. You can see with a periscope and the height in feet of the periscope above the water. So how far can you see when the periscope is 3 feet above the water? So they give you the height. So all you're going to do is, where the height part is, you're going to plug in the 3 and we solve for it. Kind of like we've been doing skill-wise with these irrational numbers and squares. Okay. So what I want you to do right now is down here below, there are 2 problems in this self-assessment. Okay, this is going to be the blue piece of paper, but I want you to work on those right now, and you can work on it with the people at your table. You can team it up. All right. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to work on that. We'll come back together and see how you did. See how you did. So in 23, we had to use this equation. Okay, the equation 3600 b squared equals the h times the w. And so the b is your surface area, your body surface area in square meters. H is the height, and w is the kilogram. So this is height and weight. Now, if you look here, it says to the nearest tenth, approximate the body surface area. So this is what we're looking for, of a person who weighs 168 centimeters, who is 168 centimeters tall and weighs 60 kilograms. So they give us these 2 variables. So we're going to plug those in. So if you use the formula, this is kind of what you're doing. And solving. You're going to be solving for B. So 168 times 60 is 10,080. So now we kind of got into an equation that we're normally used to solving. How can I get b squared by itself? No, we don't times it by itself, Evan. No, we don't minus it, Braden. No, we don't square root it. Divide what? Yeah, we got to get the 3,600 out of there first. That whoa. That cancels out to 1, leaving you b squared. And this is 2.8. Now we square root both sides. And b, the square root of 2.8 is 1.67. So it says to the nearest tenth, 1.7. And it's square meters because that's the surface area. That's what we wanted. Okay. How many people got 23? Couple. Okay. So it's using the formula. Now, 24, if you noticed, it says how far is plane A away from the airport tower? What is that? The right triangle. So For plane A, we can figure out how far it is away by using the Pythagorean theorem. Right? 5 squared plus 6 squared equals c squared. What's 5 squared? 5 squared is not 10. 25. 6 squared. And when I add them together, I get 61. So when you square root both sides, c is, and this is square root of 61 is about 7.8 kilometers when you round to the nearest 10. All right. So now plane B, which is all the way over here, is 7 by 3. So this is going to be 7 squared plus 3 squared. Let me extend this a little bit here. So what's 7 squared? 49. What's 3 squared? When I add them together, I get 58. And when you square root both sides, c is about 7.6 kilometers. So who is actually closer? Plane B is. Because the square root of 61 is greater than the square root of 58. 58 is a shorter distance. Even though it looks further away visually, it's close to the ground. It's going to land faster and get to the tower faster. So on your blue sheet on the back, you're going to self-assess this one. And then once you're done with that, tonight, 4 problems. This will not take you very long to do when we have over a half hour of class left over. So you can get your Delta math done or anything else in another class if you like to. I think we had 7 people still got to get their Delta math done. Get it done. Be done with it. Let's get some momentum leaving 2022 so 2023 is a fresh start.